Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Network 216 production of the Faithful Dogs podcast. I am Tyler Johnson, joined as always by Zach DeFranco, Jack Robinson. Boys, uh, it's the bye week. How are we doing tonight?
Thank God it's the bye week. Thank God, dude.
I'm doing better than I thought I would be, honestly.
And you know what the fun? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think. Listen, if we lost that game, fully healthy, you go, crap. Like, oh God, we have a lot to talk about. But with the situation that was kind of handed to us as fans and as like the Browns, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
what
it's
can we,
hard
what can
really
we
to
really say?
it's hard to
And
really
and
pin down
yeah,
how I feel about it.
and when you look at the schedule. When it first came out, I was like, "Oh, I remember on our schedule release, I was like, I do not like where that bye week is." Now I love it. This is a great week to have a bye week. I'm very excited about it.
Truly.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's nice to kind of have. So the bye week's a blessing and a curse, and we'll get into. I'm sure we'll get into why that is. But before we do, guys, as a reminder, as always, if you are joining us tonight on the YouTube channel, we ask that you just take a second, drop a like on the video, and subscribe if you're brand new to Network 216. We're trying to reach 3,000 subscribers before the end of the season. We're almost getting close to 2,200, so we're getting closer. I can guarantee you, once we get to 3,000 here soon, before the end of the year, we will have a special giveaway. So you guys want to make sure you take advantage of that. We also are live on Lockerverse, the Lockerverse app. The link is in the description for you guys to watch the show on there. Anyone that is watching us on Lockerverse tonight, if you have any questions, I'm monitoring the chat, so send them on Lockerverse. Send questions on YouTube. It's going to be a lot more interactive. It's the bye week, so we want to hear from you guys tonight. But yeah, you guys can download the Lockerverse app completely free. You want to make sure that you tune into QB Unplugged with Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson and Quincy Avery, and that is every week on the Lockerverse app. So a great reason to download Lockerverse. QB1 has a lot of content that he's going to be putting on Lockerverse. You want to make sure you take advantage of all of it. So go again. It's free to join Lockerverse, free app. Make sure you guys take advantage of it. Gentlemen, Sunday was pretty terrible, just to be completely honest with you. The Browns ended up losing to the Ravens 28-3.
Hmm.
I can read some stats, but they're all pretty terrible. But the big surprise in this game, we talked about it on the pregame show on Sunday for those in the chat that were tuning in. Dorian Thompson-Robinson made his first start for the Browns when quarterback Deshaun Watson was ruled out with a shoulder injury. It probably couldn't have gone any worse, I don't think. It's up there with Johnny Manziel as far as the worst starts by rookie quarterback in Browns history. In this game, guys, what were just some of your takeaways? I mean, every way you look at it, it was just really hard to watch on Sunday without Watson on the field.
He's young, and I can't give up on him. But the Browns, I don't know. I think they messed up by. I guess you could say they messed up by trading Josh Dobbs, but in the same sense, it's like, I mean, would Josh Dobbs have won us that game? I don't think so. I mean, I really don't. Um, I just think having a good veteran backup this year would have been better than what better than what we saw. So I don't know. It was just you kind of threw the kid to the wolves, but you had no choice. Obviously, we'll get into it. I don't disagree with the decision Deshaun made at all. I mean, he was a game time decision. His shoulder was hurting. He thought, I can't give 100%. I'm putting the team at jeopardy if I play. And the Browns thought going into the season that Dorian Thompson-Robinson was good enough to, fill in for a game if need be, and that's what we saw Sunday. So I
I,
don't know.
I think the big thing too that fans need to understand, because this is a huge talking point right now on social media, just because you're medically cleared does not mean you're healthy. Let's
Yeah.
get that
Oh,
straight right
exactly.
now. Like,
Yeah.
there's a huge difference between, like, people are saying, well, he's medically cleared, he should have played. Huge difference between being medically cleared and actually being healthy enough to throw the football.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry, Jack.
Oh no, you're good. I mean, honestly, I think that a lot of people are looking at this in a very biased lens, and I think they're not giving DTR a fair shake. Yeah, I think DTR was way out of his element. I think he was
Yeah.
to a position where I don't think any rookie quarterback could have succeeded, no matter how good they are. And I think a lot of that does have to do with the fact that Kevin Stefanski just didn't really have time to generate a game plan for DTR. And unfortunately, DTR was the victim of just not really being in a situation where, he was ready to take on the role of a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. You saw some of the throws. He was not ready to make them. His footwork wasn't ready. The plays weren't ready. It was just really the whole offense just was not designed to help DTR. And so honestly, when I thought that maybe they were preparing a little bit during practice, just because Deshaun was not throwing, they said that DTR was doing all the red zone work, that maybe they were just kind of developing at least some semblance of a game plan, just on the off chance, that Deshaun doesn't play. Clearly that didn't happen. They were very confident that he was going to play. And I think Deshaun was also confident that he was going to play. I think he thought that when Sunday came, that he would probably feel good enough to play. But obviously that didn't happen. And unfortunately, DTR kind of like what Zach was saying. He gets thrown to the wolves. He gets put into a situation that honestly, I don't see how any like rookie quarterback comes out of that alive, especially even against a banged up Ravens secondary. Those plays were not designed for him. So, it sucks, but it's honestly also not something that I'm going to put a lot of onus on for anybody outside of maybe just Kevin, just because I feel like he probably should have done a little bit more prep.
And I don't want this to get twisted because what I'm about to say is like, on the fence, but Deshaun did tell the team definitely thought he was playing on Sunday. The offense thought Deshaun was playing. Deshaun thought he was playing on Sunday. Like Jack said, he really did. There's no question about that at all. So the dude's played with a lacerated liver. The dude's played on a torn ACL before and won games. So he definitely thought he was playing. Dude, if you can't throw the ball more than 20 yards, 10 yards, like that was their game plan. You could tell with DTR, that was their game plan, was to push the ball downfield. He is one of the best quarterbacks right now through 4 weeks. If you go look at the metrics, throwing the ball downfield. It might not look like it with the eye test, but he is. The metrics are there. So, I mean, there's not really much you can do. I agree, Jack. I think, if he's not throwing the ball in practice all week, and DTR is taking snaps with the ones, Stefanski has to do a better job of game planning around that. But then you also have to look at, we don't have Nick Chubb anymore. We don't have a running back one. We really don't have a security blanket like we would have had. So it was a tough situation to be in. Like that's why you have Deshaun Watson. If Nick Chubb is down, you have a quarterback that you think could take this offense to an elite level, like we saw against Tennessee, and win you football games. And then the defense got no rest Sunday. They were completely tired and gassed. You could tell. So it was just all around just a terrible situation to be in for the whole team.
Yeah, and just kind of going off of that, I've seen some people try to say like, oh, the defense is going back to the way it was, and oh, it was a mirage. It was never real. And I mean, let's be real. The defense really only gave up 14 points on Sunday because two of those touchdowns were in the red zone. They started in the red zone. So I'm not gonna give the defense any sort of criticism, to be honest. Like I could maybe say their tackling was bad, but also, I mean, it was not it was not an easy game to play defense, considering that you were basically getting no rest, and you're playing a team that has some of the most athletic players on it that are difficult to tackle. So I'm not going to try to act as if like the defense is bad now because of one game, because just from the eye test, they were put in an unwinnable situation.
I'll say this too. Like, we really got to stop. And I understand it's the bye week, but stop trying to make stories out of things that are not issues. Like trying to say there's a divide between Watson, Stefanski, and Barry. Like, it's just kind of getting ridiculous. Like I'm hearing today, we're really trying to draw conclusions because they thought he was going to play, and then it turns out he couldn't. Wow, a player worked out before the game, thought he was going to play, but he ended up not being able to play. It's no different than any other player in the NFL that goes through pregame warmups. And we have national media trying to make a story.
Local media too.
Local too, yeah, but just doesn't
But
exist. Like,
I
we're just trying to look for stuff. And listen, I get it, but we're not 0-4. The team is 2-2 with everything to play for the rest of the season right now, and we're
no,
acting like the sky is falling, it's over, and we need to fire everyone and trade everybody. Like, I don't know. It's to me, it's just exhausting. I think with DTR too, the reason that you wanted him as your backup quarterback is ideally if a situation like this arose, he would step in into a very similar offense and be able to succeed. Looking back, we're early. He's made one start, so I'm not going to sit here and criticize Andrew Berry, but right now it doesn't look like paper that was the right decision to go with the rookie quarterback over Josh Dobbs. But we'll see how that plays out. As far as this game on offense, guys, once again, the Browns couldn't run the football. And you guys, I know that we've played some tough run defenses. Are you guys concerned about this run game? I am just not seeing any consistency ever since Nick Chubb left. And I think Nick Chubb really hid some of the issues that maybe this offensive line has blocking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no, for sure.
100%. And I mean, dude, Nick Chubb is just a beast. You can't just get him down. And Jerome Ford, I'm sorry, like he has potential, I think, but he's not one of those running backs that's he's going to go down on first contact, as you can tell. There are some where it looks like he's literally just getting swiped and he just falls. Like, I mean, dude, that route he ran against Tennessee, that first touchdown, like that was awesome to watch. I mean, granted, I mean, it was a mismatch, and I mean, Deshaun and him took advantage of it. I think a Mike linebacker was over him. They talk about it on QB Unplugged. And I mean, that route though he ran, dude, it was perfect. So he's a playmaker. He can make plays. He's not a running back one. Let's just face it. He's just not. And obviously, you're not replacing Nick Chubb. There are like no running backs in the league that you can really put in there and replace the workhorse that is Nick Chubb. So it's just a tough situation to be in, especially for him. I personally would like to see maybe like Pierre Strong get some more reps. I do think out of all the backs we have right now, I think Pierre Strong has the most upside in terms of, being more of a running back one in this offense than Jerome Ford is right now.
Yeah, one of the big issues I think is that we don't really have a lot of north-south guys. Like, it doesn't really seem like they're attempting to get these guys going north and south, like trying to hit a gap or trying to, use your guards to open something up. It seems like we're doing a lot of these, have the running back try to run outside and find room, and it just doesn't seem to work at all. Especially when you consider that it seems like a lot of teams, well, especially in regards to like Tennessee and the Ravens, I mean, they're just loading the box because they just didn't respect the pass. Like, and that might have been just like a specific issue to those teams. Because I mean, Tennessee's a very good run stopping team. The Ravens, because DTR was in, they didn't really have to respect the pass. They could load the box, and there was no threat of any sort of like there was no RPO, so they didn't have to buy any of it. So I think a lot of the issue was just that the scheme from the other team limited your capabilities for just doing some like north-south hard-nosed normal Browns football like running back stuff where you're trying to get between the tackles, you're trying to get downfield, and they were trying to do a lot of stuff where they get guys out into space and try to make a play on the outside, and it just wasn't working. So, I mean, I don't know if that's an issue specifically with the running backs or if it's just an issue of you can't really run the ball the way that you normally would without our passing game really establishing itself and making it so that the defense can't just load the box up. And it's just a victim of circumstance, considering that since Nick Chubb's gone down, we've played one of the better run defenses and a defense that didn't really have to account for the pass game at all. So I mean, I'm not defending the run game because it was bad. It was terrible. It's been bad the past two games, but I don't know if that's just because of the specific circumstances that those players are playing in regards to like the teams and the offense in general, or if that's a more like overall issue regarding the talent in the running back room at the moment.
I think the biggest thing, dude, is there's just no experience on this roster. I mean, okay, Kareem Hunt, but dude, I don't know if he'll be up to speed at any point in this season. Like he looks slow. Now I'll give him this. He brings energy, and that is something you need. He just doesn't look like that guy. I mean, he looks like a change of pace guy that you put in a couple times a game. He can help as a pass blocker. They don't have that guy. They don't have a Leonard Fournette or Zeke Elliott. Again, not that those guys are even in their prime anymore, but at the same time, they're guys that have carried the load at the running back position. And right now, you have nobody on this offense that can do that, to take any pressure off the passing game. And that's why, like, I'm part of me. The reason when DTR looking the way he did and the Browns losing, I don't have to hear one single person say that Dorian Thompson-Robinson needs to start over Deshaun Watson. Because I guarantee you the Browns win that game by 10 points, 14, whatever it is, and DTR looks good, people are calling for them to bench Watson. So, it is what it is at the same time. Like, but you got to figure out something in the run game. And that brings up a very good segue to talk about. So the article was written the other day by Mary Kay Cabot. She suggested, and again, the timing, interesting. It's the bye week, of course. The Browns should consider trading for all-pro Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. The reason this is interesting for a couple reasons. For those that say, like, she's clickbait, I mean, it is an opinion piece technically, but she did say the same thing about Elijah Moore. The Browns, a very similar piece, the Browns trade for Elijah Moore. She writes this about Jonathan Taylor during the bye week. Andrew Berry's actually asked about this today. We're going to talk about his press conference at some point. But basically, he said on Jonathan Taylor, we're always looking to improve the roster, but we're pleased with the running back room. First off, guys, why would Mary Kay, Brian Windhorst gif, why would she put this article out during the bye week? And do you guys think a Jonathan Taylor trade is something the Browns have explored? And is it realistic?
Have they explored it? I don't think that it's impossible to think that, they've called and said, hey, how much would you want for Jonathan Taylor? But do I think that it's something that they are seriously considering? I don't. I don't think that this is something that they would seriously consider because of the implications that trading for Jonathan Taylor has. Because either A, you're trading a second or third or multiple other picks for Jonathan Taylor with the intent to sign him to a long-term contract, which then creates an issue of you have all this extra cap that is now being consumed, and you're going to have a massive amount of cap casualties next year unless, they start cheating the cap more, which you can only do for so long. Or you spend a high pick to then get him here, and he's then a 1-year rental? I mean, it's really a no-win situation when you consider just the kind of situation that the Browns are in. They're trying to save money. They're trying to save cap space. They're trying to roll over as much money as possible to the next year to pay for Deshaun Watson's contract and multiple other contracts. That way they don't have as big of an issue with their cap moving forward. Trading for Jonathan Taylor now would basically mean that Nick Chubb is not coming back next year. A lot of guys might have difficulty signing more guys to deals. I just don't think it's something that, Andrew Berry is doing. Do I think he's talked about it? I'm sure they've had internal conversations, but I don't think that they are anything more than just, testing the waters, just seeing what the market is. But I would be shocked actually if this ended up happening.
If you trade for Jonathan Taylor, like Jack said, dude, he's probably going to get around $15 million a year, and you have to. I think you have to trade for him with the intent to extend him off the bat. Like, it's just one of those guys. I don't think the Browns necessarily want to touch. I think it is $34 million in rollover cap they have right now. I don't think they necessarily want to touch that because the cap hit for Deshaun's contract alone next year. I mean, gosh, Tyler, do you know off the top of your head what that is?
It's like I believe it's like 62, but obviously it won't be when we get to next year. But I believe it's 62.
Andrew Berry's always going to do his thing, but I mean, I think you say goodbye to like a lot of people have convinced themselves that Chubb would be like, oh, I'll play with Taylor and I'll take a pay cut, but I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know. I think you would say goodbye to Chubb, and I don't want to say that right now just because like the dude hasn't even had his second surgery yet. He gave his all to the Browns right now. Like I don't even want to talk about that right now, but I mean, Taylor is younger. He's 24 years old. I mean, like 2 years ago he ran for like almost 2,000 yards, dude. Like he is a great running back. So, if you're all in right now, then yeah, you go make the trade and you see what happens and you see what you can work, but yeah, the offense next year would look a whole lot different with him and Watson being on your offense. And we're already the highest paid offense in the NFL. So
the reality,
it's fun to talk about. It's fun to talk about.
The reality is with this is if you go out, obviously you're moving on from Nick Chubb, and that would be if the Browns went out and traded for Jonathan Taylor, there would be fans happy, but I almost, and again, the NFL is a business. You're doing Nick Chubb pretty dirty, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that. Now, that said, I do believe if the right situation arose, this is something that they would absolutely pull the trigger on. I just don't think it's something that's going to line up to where the Browns can afford it. Now, do I think they make a move at the deadline for someone? And when we get closer to deadline, I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about all that. I think more so I would look at left tackle. I would look at wide receiver because I'm telling you, Sean Payton can say whatever he wants. There's probably going to be a fire sale in Denver. And Garrett Bowles, the left tackle, is projected to be available, and so is Jerry Jeudy. The Browns have been interested in Jerry Jeudy, and I don't think it's unrealistic that they could bring him in because keep in mind, after this year, you're going to have some decisions to make at wide receiver. So that's something to keep in mind. I think they go a different way. Taylor would be great. Like, I mean, who would not want a backfield of Jonathan Taylor and Deshaun Watson? I don't think it's going to happen. The only thing I'll say, guys, the timing is interesting because she could have written that at any time. Yeah. And she writes it during the bye week. That's all I got to say. I just think it's interesting. I don't think anything's happening, but the timing makes you makes you curious, to say the least.
And the way that Andrew Berry responded to that question, I forgot who asked him about Taylor or the running back room. They asked him specifically about Taylor, and he said, due to tampering, I don't want to say anything, but you know.
Well, that's an Andrew Berry answer. That he always says that.
Then they asked him about the wide receiver room, and he goes, "We're happy with our wide receivers," and you know what I mean. It's it was a whole different kind of response. So I definitely think Andrew Berry is exploring it. I think he's exploring an upgrade at running back in general. Not saying it's going to be Jonathan Taylor, but I definitely think that Andrew Berry is exploring a trade for
some running back,
some sort of upgrade.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and if you guys look at it too, there's no reason even Jonathan Taylor's a great football player. There's no reason why they should even make this trade for one. This free agent class, let's say Nick Chubb, I mean, because the reality is we don't know when he's going to be back. They said sometime in 2024. That could be midway through the year for all we know. Dude, you're going to have Josh Jacobs, a free agent, Saquon Barkley, a free – you're going to have – now, not that they're going to give out a boatload of money, but my point is there are going to be guys available in free agency that you can pay a Miles Sanders type of contract and get for $6 million a year or something like that.
Yeah.
Why would you go out? Again, he's a great player, but why would you go out? Why would you go out and do that and go after Taylor? Give up the pick because you're looking at your second round pick because you don't have a first. So you're looking at this point, you're looking at your second round pick, and then you have to give him a huge contract. It just doesn't make sense to me.
And especially when it's very clear that the running back market is not going up the way that I think a lot of people think it is. I mean, you have guys like Kyron Williams in Los Angeles. You have guys like even Zach Moss in Indianapolis who are playing great, and they're cheap, and they are like, I don't know how the running back market gets better. Like in terms of like paying guys what they're worth, or of increasing the salaries for the median running back in the league. So if I'm the Browns, I'm thinking I don't need to pay this much money. We already have a guy that the city loves, the front office loves, everybody loves, and he's coming back next year. And next year there's going to be a huge swath of talented guys on the market that are already probably better than the guys that are in our room right now. And yes, would it be better if we had those guys in the room here now? Sure. But are we going to leverage our long-term future for the short-term gain of getting a guy like Jonathan Taylor when we could wait and just get a guy that's, obviously not as good, but is reasonable and is perfectly usable in a system that benefits the running back position a lot? Obviously, we've been struggling with our run block pass grade, or our run block grade this year, but it'll get better. And we're gonna have a swath of guys for way cheaper, and we'll see, and we'll get Nick Chubb back at some point during the season, anyways. Like I just don't see the long-term benefit to this, other than obviously you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor who's great, but
and I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. If you make that trade, it's less. I mean, I don't know. I still think we can win a lot of games this year with Watson and the targets we have at wide receiver and our defense. But I think if Andrew Berry does for some reason make that trade, it's an all-in this year right now, and then explore that later on down the line of keeping him on the roster, obviously, because I just don't think you make this trade and you don't extend Jonathan Taylor. I think any team that trades for him is going to instantly extend him. That's their running back of the future right there. So no, you're not making this trade to just be a rental for the rest of the year. It just doesn't.
Exactly. And if you guys, I'm going to read off some names real quick because all of these running backs will hit free agency in 2024. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, Cordell Patterson, Gus Edwards, Zeke Elliott. DeAndre Swift. Obviously Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Rashard Penny, A.J. Dillon, Kareem Hunt, Antonio Gibson. I mean, pick. Like,
that's a lot of guys.
There's no reason to go out and even. I would not trade for Taylor. Listen, he's a great player. There's no reason why. Go get one of those running backs, man. You can go out there and get. Okay, now this is interesting.
I don't know what do they want for him.
If Tennessee would take a day 3 pick, I think you consider it.
I mean,
that would be interesting. It would be interesting. Tennessee, yeah. I mean, would Tennessee trade him is the question.
Well, I think it's going to depend on where they are when we get closer to the trade deadline. If they're looking like they're dead in the water, I think they might start becoming sellers because they just have nothing going on there. That is, I mean, they are not a championship team. They do not have a future with Ryan Tannehill. I would not be surprised if they're sellers come the trade deadline. Like,
that's a good one, Jeff. I honestly didn't even think of Derrick Henry, to be completely honest with you. I almost think, though, guys, listen, it's not a knock. I get Tennessee doesn't have a great line, but he does not look like himself either. He looks like he's worn down. Derrick Henry does.
Derrick Henry's he's an interesting player because he's super fast, but he takes a second just to get up to speed. But once he's up to speed, he can get there. And their line is just so bad that he can't even get up to speed. I mean, I remember just watching him when the Browns were playing him. And I mean, he would like try to change directions. And by the time he changed directions, he was already getting hit. So, and I mean, against the Bengals, I mean, he was looking like he was back in, normal King Henry form. he's had a rough start to the season, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he still has a little bit left in him. I mean, he's almost 30, so this would definitely just be like a 1-year thing. But I think if you got 1 year of like even okay Derrick Henry, I think that's better than what you currently have.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that. It's Jeff, good bringing up that one. Mikey P says Jonathan Taylor trade won't happen. So, yeah, let's just end it at that. So, trade for Jonathan Taylor, yes or no?
No, it's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. But
And I don't even think it would be a good idea just because of the repercussions.
I think something that a name that people aren't talking about either is Josh Jacobs. If the Raiders continue to lose, I think Adams and Jacobs could be on the trade block. So
Jacobs is looking bad this year.
yeah, but so have the Raiders.
I mean, true, but Jacobs also held out. When running backs hold out,
yeah, that is
they
true.
always look bad.
So you think Taylor's going to look?
I don't think he's going to look great. I could be wrong. I
That's good.
could be wrong. I mean, the thing is too with Josh Jacobs, he's a free agent at the end of the year too. So I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm
he
saying.
would. I think he would cost around what Taylor would.
I think his market's more around like 10 million a year. Personally, I do. So, but that's still a decent chunk to give up to another running back because, I mean, we know Chubb's injury isn't as bad as we thought it was, so he is coming back. So it's just a matter of when. So
true. I mean, listen, I almost thought with go get DeAndre Swift.
I would love that. Dude.
I know they tried to trade for him, and I think Philly would bring him back. I don't know why they wouldn't bring him back.
They for sure.
Do you think Dallas wants to bring back Pollard?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
I love
100%.
Tony Pollard, dude.
They franchise tagged him.
Look.
Yeah.
Dallas hates getting rid of their guys, and Tony Pollard is one of their guys that they drafted. And I mean, they're gonna run him until he can't run anymore. I mean, just look at Zeke. They ran him until they said, okay, this guy just can't do it anymore, and then just went to Pollard. And I mean, Pollard's been good for them. So until Pollard's, starts to go on the decline, they're probably not going to move off of him.
A name I would, again, we'll talk a lot more about all this during the offseason. Another name I would keep an eye on. And before everyone laughs at me and says whatever you want, because I think they would, I believe they're going to draft a running back. But if they bring in somebody, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Andrew Berry likes his former first-round picks. Just saying.
Well, and I mean, I think the Chiefs running back room is now just Pacheco at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Pacheco and McKinnon every now and then. But, if we could have had McKinnon. Anyway, all right, guys. Berry held a press conference today, and, I had some friends text me, does Andrew Berry, why is he talking right now? So, first off, for everyone in the chat that's not aware, Andrew Berry always gives a press conference during the bye week. He had some interesting things to say during the press conference. So, first off, he basically said that the bye week comes at a perfect time for the team. He's never been a fan of the early bye, but for us, it's an opportunity to get healthy and give us deliberate pause. So, guys, do you think that this bye week, obviously the Browns had some injuries, but looking back, are you guys thankful this is when the Browns are having their bye week is week 5 of the season? Or do you still wish that it was a couple weeks away, just given how much longer, how many games in a row the Browns are going to play once they get off the bye week?
I like it now. I personally like it now, just because of everything that transpired. So right now, I think it's perfect for the team because, I mean, Miles was in a boot after Sunday. We don't know what's going on with Pochik now. Watson's shoulder. I think the team needed it early. So I think for the long run, it actually could benefit us.
Yeah, I think just because of the circumstances that we're currently in, I think it just kind of perfectly lined up. And I think that it was also a reason why maybe Deshaun was even less likely to want to push it because he knew that, obviously, yeah, every game's important, but when you're about to go into the bye, you're banged up. And especially with the injuries that we sustained even during the game, I mean, the bye week, I remember all of us were dreading it being so early because we're used to it being like week 7, week 8, week 9. And I think last year was like week 11. So but the thing is that this year, just the injuries, the way that the team looks on offense, just some of these issues that we didn't expect to pop up this early in the season. It popped up, and now we get to have a nice little week 2 week break, and these guys get to get all healthy. They can kind of start hammering out some of the issues that we've been seeing, and they should be good to go, at least moving forward for the next couple of weeks. So I think that it came at the perfect time. Even though I think a lot of us absolutely hated the idea of a week 4 bye at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, given the injuries, it does come at a good time. It's just that's going to be quite a stretch run.
It is a stretch.
I mean, yeah, that's for sure. But you get San Francisco coming out of the bye, which we will obviously preview next week. You have everything still in front of you, which is really good to see. Another quote that Andrew Berry had, of course, as you can imagine, he was asked by one reporter. He was asked about trading Josh Dobbs in August, and he said he thought it was the right move for the team in the short and long term. And then I'll make this a two-parter. Is that they didn't start PJ Walker at quarterback. They started Dorian because he had been with the team throughout spring and summer, and he expects DTR to be the backup quarterback and doesn't envision making any major changes in the room. So I'll throw it to you guys. Do you think Andrew Berry regrets trading Josh Dobbs and essentially making Dorian Thompson-Robinson the backup quarterback? Because keep in mind, he probably would lose DTR because the Browns don't keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. First off, do you think he regrets that decision? And do you believe him when he says the Browns aren't going to look at upgrading the backup quarterback position?
I believe him in both aspects. I don't think he regrets the trade, because I don't think he regrets trading away Josh Dobbs' contract, getting a 5th out of it from a 7th. And to be honest, I don't think that they are looking at this performance by Dorian Thompson-Robinson as an indication for how he would play given another opportunity. I think that if Deshaun came out on Tuesday or Wednesday and said, I don't think I'm very confident that I'm going to be able to play, and he gets ruled out early, and they more deliberately design a game plan around DTR, and then he plays poorly, I think then maybe there's an issue. But I think just because of the nature of what happened, that they're not looking at this as, DTR is the reason that the offensive game plan failed. And I don't think that even Josh Dobbs would have been able to step in and make the kind of plays that they were expecting Deshaun to make. Because again, this was the Deshaun game plan. This was the Deshaun playbook. I mean, a lot of these plays were designed with Deshaun in mind, with his ability to throw down the field in mind. And I don't know if Josh Dobbs would be able to step in and do that. Obviously, I think he might have been able to do it better than DTR, but would he have been successful enough to win the game? Probably not. At least just that's what I'm thinking. Like, yes, he's doing very well in Arizona, but again, they're designing the offense with him in mind. And I think if DTR had an opportunity where they actually had a whole week to design the offensive game plan around him and his strengths, and to give him, the same kind of leeway that they give other rookie quarterbacks, where they have a running back in the backfield a lot. It's not a lot of empty sets. I think that we're talking about this a little differently. So I don't think that Andrew Berry is regretting it at all, because I think that all the circumstances here are not on the back of DTR. It's just on the back of the circumstances of Deshaun being hurt and then not really telling anybody that he's not good to go until the last second.
Yeah, I just think Deshaun thought he was going to play, dude.
I know he did. I know. I'm aware.
Thought he was going to play on Sunday. So
I do too. I agree with Jeff here. Dobbs doesn't change that game. I do agree. I agree with that. I know some people think if Josh Dobbs plays, the Browns win. I think when Watson was out and you don't have Nick Chubb, you're not winning that game. I really just don't. Like, everyone believed it sounded like Watson was going to play, and I think it was kind of deflating for everybody, not just – and that
stunk.
Yeah, and that makes it hard to overcome that. It does. And so I agree with Jeff. I don't think it changes if Dobbs is starting that game. They might. If there's someone that becomes available, wouldn't shock me if Andrew Berry explored it, because that, like he said, he's always looking at ways to improve the roster. But I do think DTR is going to be the backup quarterback for the rest of the year. They do still have PJ Walker. If Watson can't go, I don't think that's going to be the case. Obviously, they got to make sure they can get rid of that fluid around his shoulder. But you almost wonder if they do consider PJ Walker. PJ Walker has won games as an NFL quarterback, people forget. And it's actually kind of a cool story. So I wouldn't. I'll throw it to this to you guys, because here's a good question. Do you have more confidence in Dorian Thompson-Robinson winning you a football game or PJ Walker?
Personally, PJ Walker right now.
I would just say PJ Walker because he has experience doing it.
He has more
that's where
experience.
I'm at.
He had more experience in starts than Josh Dobbs. So yeah.
I like PJ Walker. True, like he's not going to light it up, but I mean, he is mobile still. He has good command. Has good command of the offense. He has shown good leadership when he's been on the field, especially in Carolina, given everything he had to deal with there.
Yeah,
that was a whole mess. Luxury Cardboard says if Watson can't go, this is already a disaster. Yeah, that's a whole if. I mean, all indications are he's going to be ready to go next week. So, but we're going to see what happens. I know the biggest thing is the fluid around his shoulder, so I don't know how that gets taken care of. I am not a doctor or going to even pretend that I even know anything about it. All right.
And also, I want to make a comment. A lot of people are talking about, I think you already brought it up, Tyler, so excuse me. But how he was cleared to play. He was cleared to play by team doctors. What team doctors do is they push the play. So a lot of athletes will say that as well. They're going to push a player to play if they can go. So, I mean, for the most part, he was probably cleared to play. But
he was cleared in terms of that. Yeah, there's like they were
saying
there's no ligament damage.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's like inhibiting you from playing in terms of like if you throw, your shoulder's going to be dislocated or you're going to tear something. They're just like, yeah, technically you're not injured, but obviously this was a pain tolerance thing.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And I think this isn't I said this on Sports for CLE and I stand by it. Even though DTR lost you this game, I still think, given the circumstances, Watson hadn't practiced all week and even thrown. Let's say Watson goes out there on Sunday and looks very, very bad. Then what? God. Then he gets criticized. Then this bye week is even more of a mess. So like the way I look at this, again, I'm not glad we lost the game by any means, but at the same time, giving Watson nearly 3 weeks off to get over this shoulder issue or whatever is happening right now to his shoulder is more beneficial for the long term this year than it is to win that game on Sunday. That's the way I see it, at least.
Yep, I agree.
Like, I'm trying to real quick because we'll wrap. We'll got to make our picks here soon, but how bad would it have been on Sunday if Watson goes out there and looks bad? Wouldn't this week be even worse than it is now?
It's awful. Well, because then people are like, why the heck did he even play if he's not going to be able to really upgrade the team's offense? Like at that point, you might as well have started. Because I mean, let's be real. If he can't throw the ball 10 or 20 yards down the field, the offense is going to look the exact same as it did last week. It's going to look the same. It would have been the exact same, and it would have been like, well, why are we risking the guy who we have invested all this money and clearly is hurt? Why are we putting him at risk? And then we get the same thing as the freaking Baker Mayfield things, where we're like, why the heck is he out there starting if he's hurt? And then people are just going to say, look, if he's capable of playing, if he's putting himself out there, we need to criticize him, and that's a fair argument. So it's like, okay, fine. Then if he's hurt, then he should just sit out. Then he should just not play until he's healthy enough to play. That way he doesn't hurt the team by being too injured to throw the ball with the distance and timing that he needs. And you don't risk re-injury. So I mean, I don't know what people want. Do they want injured quarterbacks to play or do they not want them to play? I don't know.
Be tough, show grit.
I guess, yeah.
All right, boys. Now to move on to the fun part, the most fun part from
Yes.
this week. Weekly picks. How did everybody do?
I did good this week, man. Except for the Browns. I did good. I did good on all my picks.
So you went 3-1.
Yep, I went 3-1.
I went 2-2. Me and Jack. In case anyone didn't tune in last week, me and Jack picked against each other for the Bears Broncos toilet bowl game of the week. So
Yeah, man, I was
I
sweating there
lost.
for the majority of the game.
I lost. It almost tied. I lost.
It almost tied. God, that would have been the best game ever.
I actually shockingly went 4-0 because on Sunday, once DTR was starting, I picked the Ravens.
Oh man,
You can't do that, remember?
Yeah, we can. I took
No,
the Steel. Bro, I switched over from the Steelers and I took the L.
I thought we said we have to go with what we said on the show.
Well, then if that okay. Either way, if that was the case, technically,
No,
I still have the
that's
same
fine.
record.
Because I didn't have a chance. I wasn't on the pregame show, so that's not fair.
yeah, man, I was in Cleveland.
I mean, hey, like
Honestly, dude, here's the thing. I still thought the Browns had a chance until I saw like the first drive, and I'm like, oh no, this is not gonna be good, dude. This is gonna be really bad.
All right, who cares? I'm in last place. I'll
Yeah.
I can't go over 500 so far.
Oh man.
all right, Zach, you get the first pick then.
All right. Let's try to get back on the winning track here. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I'm still gonna be risky because I like it. I'm having fun this year. Give me the Colts over the Titans. I think the Colts are they're one of my surprise teams this year.
All right, Jack.
All right, I'm choosing one of the cat fights. I'm choosing the Lions over the Panthers.
I like that one.
Are we doing 3 or 4 picks since the Browns don't play? Probably just 3.
We can do 4. It's actually
Just do 4. That'll work.
Might as well because it just keeps everything. Yeah, let's just
Even.
do 4.
Yeah, we don't have to have an
All
odd
right.
number.
I'm gonna go with. I mean, this really shouldn't surprise you, but I'm gonna go San Francisco over Dallas. That's gonna be a great game.
That's gonna be a good game.
Yeah,
we need San Francisco to win that game, so they come here and hopefully let their guard down.
yeah.
Yes, truly.
Yeah.
We don't want them to come into Cleveland pissed off. All right.
Oh gosh. All right, Zach. What are we thinking?
Yeah. Dude, a lot of these are like, oh, obviously. Texans over Falcons.
Oh, nice.
Hey man, CJ Stroud, that kid is good. Who'd have thunk?
Dude, I can't
Not
believe
the Panthers.
Not the Panthers.
The Panthers are.
They are in trouble.
But hey, at least they took Bryce Young.
Oh yeah. Okay. You know what? I think we're gonna put a little salt in the wound, and I think that the Cardinals are gonna beat the Bengals.
Ooh, man, you guys are taking some of mine, so I'm trying not to pick the same ones as you. Oh man, dude.
You can take them too if you want. It's not a big
No,
deal.
not that. There's just one I'm really thinking about, and I don't know if I can do it or not.
Well, just fair warning. Me and Zach have decided that we're gonna choose the worst matchup, and we're just gonna choose
every week.
Every week we're gonna find like the worst matchup, and we're gonna go opposite of it.
Toilet bowl game of the week.
We're gonna just toilet bowl game of the week.
All right. Well, so here's what I'm gonna do. And by the way, I have no confidence this is gonna happen. Cooper Kupp is projected to be back for the Rams this week. The Rams are really good at home. Like they are a lot better at home than they are on the road. They're getting a boost with Cooper Kupp coming back. They're not going to win this game, but I'm going to pick them anyway.
Oh,
I have the Rams over the Eagles in LA.
Hey, the Eagles are vulnerable. They're really good, but I mean, they almost lost to Sam Howell. And that's not me being disrespectful to Sam Howell.
They also just keep finding ways to win, though, which is what good teams do.
Yeah. Oh,
All right, Zach, back on the clock.
The last one's going to be the toilet bowl. So this one, I'll pick. For me, I think it's easy. Chiefs over Vikings.
Okay.
Okay. You know, I'm gonna take the Bears over the Commanders. I don't know why.
Wow.
I'm feeling it. I'm
Well,
feeling.
you know what
Justin
I'm going to
Fields.
do, Jack? I'm going to take the Commanders over the
Oh
Bears.
yeah, let's go. Yes, sir. 2 matchups. Oh yeah, dude, this is gonna be
All
great.
right. Toilet bowl game of the week.
All right.
Toilet bowl game of
What do
the
you guys
Alright.
got?
It's going to be the Jets versus the Broncos. I'm going to go. I'm sorry, Jack. I have to do it. I'm going to go the Jets. I think Zach Wilson played a decent game last week, dude. And I think they're going to start feeding Brees Hall. I think he's off that snap count. I think they're going to start feeding him. I got Jets
Dang
over
it,
the
man. I wanted to
Broncos.
pick the Jets over the Broncos. Okay,
Sorry, bud.
fine. Wes is gonna cook, man. He's gonna cook.
All right,
Oh,
so you got the Broncos then. And then for my final one, it's one that we already talked about, but I got the Lions over the Panthers.
yeah, the Lions.
I like the
Lions.
Lions. The Lions are just so
I tried to
fun,
pick
and
up
they
their
get
defensive
Jamison
fantasy
Williams back.
league.
Yeah.
They're gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You know what else is a lot of fun, Jack?
What's that?
The great discounts that you can get from shopping at Homage.
That's so true. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I think that as you can see from everyone here on the show today, that I think we all can say that Homage it's one of our favorite clothing brands, if not the greatest clothing brand that we've ever worn. I mean, it's super comfortable, super high quality. You get basically any of your favorite teams. The Browns, Cavs are starting up soon. Guardians just finished, but you can always get great stuff from them. Rep all year round, and you can rep all year round because you basically have any style you can think of. You got t-shirts, you got long sleeves, you got hoodies, you got pullovers. Wherever you are, it's probably starting to get cold. At least if you're up here in the northeast. So you're probably going to want to get some variety. And if you were up at the stadium, I'm so sorry. If you were up at the stadium on Sunday, you probably saw they even in the team shop or up on the big board, they are actually showing that they had another official Browns Homage crossover. So again, if the Browns are they themselves crossing over with Homage, that they only sell high quality stuff. And again, it's all super comfortable, super high quality. Maybe you don't want sports stuff. It's cool. They got crossovers for, pop culture, just crossovers with, other sports or just any other sort of cool events that are going on. It's just high quality stuff. It's the best way to support your team, support your city, support Network 216. And really, it's just great clothing. Just buy yourself some good clothing.
Love it, man. I love it. Jeff adds, Jack with the great ad reads is why I tune in.
I try my best.
Hey, that's why I'm
best.
here, is for the ad reads, man.
It wasn't well. Obviously, you didn't tune in to hear about us talking about how fun the Browns game was. So yeah, I
just want to say that people on Lockerverse, thank you for joining us on Lockerverse. They're making comments asking why someone picked the Bears over the Commanders.
Because Justin Fields, he's gonna break out. Okay, it's like Zach Wilson. He got in a rhythm. He's good. He's going now. Now it's time for Justin Fields. Yeah, they lost, but don't ask me questions.
So how much? So someone also asked how much they think the Browns will beat the 49ers by. We'll answer that next week.
We'll talk about next week.
Well, I know, Jack, you're going to pick the Browns, but
no, hey, you don't know that yet. You don't know that
Jack,
yet.
your history.
It might be unprecedented.
Otherwise.
This might be an unprecedented episode. You have to tune in. This might be unprecedented. You don't know yet.
Real quick, I want to get to this question because it's a good question. I apologize that I didn't see it earlier. Who's the most underrated team in the NFL? Reggie asks.
The most underrated team in the NFL.
Texans. I got Texans right now. I'm buying into the Texans.
Man, you took one of mine.
I might say the Colts. I mean, they're a lot better
Man,
than I
you
think a
guys are
lot of
you
people are
guys are
giving
taking
them
all of
effort.
them.
Or yeah, they deserve a lot of credit. And Anthony Richardson looks like he could be like real. He's looking like rookie Jalen Hurts kind of.
I would say
Yeah.
underrated wise. I mean, Tyler, I might take your third. It would have to be Texans, Colts, Rams. I think those would have to be the most underrated teams right now.
I think our good buddy in Tampa Bay. I think the
Ooh.
Oh,
Bucks.
that's true. That's true.
I think the Bucks might be a little underrated, man. We'll talk about it at some point, I'm sure, but credit where it's due. The Bucks look pretty good. That offense looks good.
Right with 6, baby.
The only 6 I'm riding with plays for the Buckeyes, and his name is Kyle McCord.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Anyways, thank you guys, like Zach said, for tuning in on Lockerverse. If you're not a part of Lockerverse, it's very easy to link. Excuse me. It's in the description. Want to make sure you check it out. Completely free. And then every week there's going to be an episode of QB Unplugged with Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson and Quincy Avery. You guys are going to make sure that you tune into that show. It's awesome. It's very informative. You learn a lot about not only the Browns, but they also talk with high school quarterbacks. You guys just want to make sure you tune in for that. Very entertaining show. But also, we will be back next week, Wednesday night on Lockerverse and YouTube for the Faithful Dogs podcast. And then next Sunday, Browns and 49ers pregame show. So plenty of content for you guys. We also have the Dog Chug coming up here in an hour here on the Network 216 YouTube channel. So make sure you tune into them. They're going to provide you guys with some laughs. And believe me, we all need it. Anyway, as always, guys, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Completely free as well to subscribe to the channel. We ask that you show that support for us. We really appreciate everyone that tunes in the show every week. We can't wait to talk to you guys all again soon. And, of course, as always, through the pain, go Browns, baby.
Like, comment, and sub. Go to Homage. Watch the Dog Chug.